Welcome to Roof to Curb, the podcast that is the foodie for the home, presented by Custom One and Pull Tab Sports. Pull Tab Sports, best producer of podcasts in our local market. Thanks, John King, Tom Garrity. They're doing a great job. PullTabSports.com. If you want to read up on the Vikings, the Twins, the Saints, or Custom One, we're here to connect people to anything that has to do with your home, from all the way to the roof, all the way to the curb. So including landscaping, renovation, exteriors, and home. Today, we're lucky to be joined by Katie Elfstrom. Oh. So Katie is the VP of Brand Marketing and Communications of Housing First Minnesota. She is a tenured staff there. She's been there for over 10 years. I've had the pleasure and joy to work with Katie and to see some wonderful impacts that you've made, not only for Housing First Minnesota, but the entire housing industry in the Twin Cities market and the state of Minnesota. So that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. That's
yeah. So I think that's pretty good. I'd have walk-up music for you.
Yeah. But, I'm like, wow.
We didn't pick a song, so I didn't know what to play. But take it away, Katie. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about just your role in specific, then we'll get into some other details.
Yeah. So I, have worked at Housing First Minnesota for 10 years. If you're not familiar with Housing First Minnesota, it's formerly known as the Builders Association of the Twin Cities, but we are the leading trade industry association for the housing industry in Minnesota. So our membership consists of builders, remodelers, and pretty much anyone who supplies or is involved with the housing industry. And of course, we work to better the industry, better, conditions for all of those in our industry, but really it comes down to homeownership. We want to make homeownership attainable for everyone in Minnesota. And I think when you really connect all the dots of the industry, it comes down to we want to create beautiful spaces for people to live in. And the better, the stronger the industry, the more we can do that.
Absolutely. So membership, talk about that a little bit. So Housing First Minnesota, you described it perfectly as far as what it does, who the members are, right? It's got a political component. It's got an advocacy component. It's got a networking component. It's got an education component. It's got outreach componont. And it has a foundation as well. So a lot of touches. I think last time I checked, isn't there like 10 brands?
Yes. Yeah.
That are inside of Housing First Minnesota.
We have, the Parade of Homes, of course. I feel like that's what people are most familiar with. That's, how we
all the
really
yellow signs that come out in the spring and the fall.
Our consumer, side of things where we really connect our membership with, home buyers. It's really a celebration of homeownership. So, in my role, I run, marketing and communications across all of those different things. So, from advocacy to, really being the resource on how is the market doing to
it's a lot of touches, Katie.
All our events and then our consumer events. So a ton of different pieces. And when it all comes together, it really goes back to that mission that I was talking about.
Is there any brands that have been created maybe just in the last couple of years that popped to the front of your mind of like, hey, that was a really fun decision. I'm glad we're doing it?
Yeah, I think we, a few years now, it's been a while, it goes so fast, but really we have our housing industry news, which is really to share, we feel like the industry knows a lot about what's going on, but we wanted to reach a wider audience and really reach a wider audience of the industry. So that is really where we share, all of the different, legislation, code changes, and then just from like the light side of, what is our industry doing out there? How are we connecting? How are we giving back current events? So I feel like that's been really exciting to see that grow.
And where does that go? Where does housing industry news, who gets that?
Yeah, it goes out to all licensed contractors in the entire state.
And that's roughly over 10,000?
I believe 10 to 15. I know the full list is about 15,000 across the state. So then it goes out to legislators and mayors and municipalities, building officials. So it really reaches kind of the breadth of the industry and those that are kind of working together with it.
So a nice piece to that is not only if you're a licensed contractor, if you're not getting it, you could contact Housing First Minnesota and ask to be delivered to you.
Yep.
Secondly, you're trying to educate people at the Capitol firsthand as far as current events. What you're hearing from membership and the industry of what's the challenges are, maybe how to help solve that politically. And then municipalities. So municipalities are pretty ingrained in their metro area, if you will, or their borders. But maybe they're not really aware of what's going on, from Wayzata to Woodbury, or from, Forest Lake down to Hastings, something like that. So it's a good piece. It started maybe a couple years ago.
I think now it's like closer to like 5-6 years. So yeah, I know. Yeah. It goes so fast.
Where did that time go?
But it's one of those that we get a lot of feedback from. You create it and you send it out and you get feedback of, we read this all the time. And yeah, you're shocked. I think I've even had friends that they didn't know that I was behind that. And they're, reciting something to me that they read in there. And I was like, who,
So heavy educational,
yes,
right? Trying to help out the industry, move it forward and protect it. And and in the end, I think Housing First Minnesota not only is trying to protect its members in the industry, but it's back to that homeownership, right? And it's really about how do we protect the consumer in the end, whether it be through permitting fees or development fees, sack and whack charges, and all the things that keep increasing that are pushing housing affordability farther and farther away, unfortunately.
Yeah. And that's, what it really comes down to is I think there's so many pieces. It's so layered. It's such a layered impact that has really driven up the costs of our homes. And so it's how do you educate people when it's so complicated? And I think it's piece by piece is just, awareness of breaking down each individual kind of piece that's really adding to the cost of housing. Yeah,
it's crazy. I know the stat at one point was every new home creates like 9 full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And people are like, all right, I buy a lot and I build a home and, we're good to go, right? And they don't realize to the depth of the number of people that have touched that to make it happen.
Right.
Right. And, it's 50, 60 different people and entities. And the number keeps growing and growing, it seems like.
Yeah.
As we're getting more involved with it, which is crazy. But you guys also advocate for remodelers.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I think there's so many issues that impact remodelers that, I feel like some of them might not even be aware of that. I think right now, even in the code process, there's always several things that people are trying to add.
Electrical code type stuff.
Lead paint issues, all of those things that very much impact remodelers. And it's important that we're there advocating for that process well. So, when people need to fix up their home, it doesn't cost them, an insane amount of money.
Yeah, or there's not all these hidden things. Now you got to bring smoke detectors up to code and electrical up to code. And I just wanted a deck.
Yeah,
or whatever it might be, right? Something trivial. But Spring Parade just happened. Spring Parade of Homes happened in the month of March, essentially.
Yep.
You had pretty good weather for that.
Yeah. Minus the fact that we got our only snowstorm of the entire winter in the middle of the parade. We knew it was going to happen.
It's always one weekend for sure. Right?
Yes, the spring parade. It's kind of known for it.
Yeah.
But it was great weather. I think the warm weather also helped homes, be ready on time, all those pieces that
absolutely
get everything done and ready early. But just great traffic, especially those beautiful weather weekends. We had 386 homes. So just great.
All sprinkled throughout the Twin Cities metro area.
All across the Twin Cities.
And all free to attend.
All free with the exception of our dream homes. But I think the beauty of the parade is that there's just a spectrum of, it goes all the way down to your townhome entry level home, all the way up to, your dream homes that are, your exceptional custom homes.
Do you have any idea, Katie, what the price range was? Like what would be the lowest priced home on the tour?
I want to say it was in the low 300s.
Okay.
And then over 2 million was the price range of this spring.
So quite a range, a lot of options to look at to understand what you can get for the spend that you have, right? Or that you're looking to spend.
Absolutely.
And it's pretty consistent too. So 2 times a year, always in March for spring, pretty much always in September for fall. So you can book your calendars now, right? For the next 10 years, plug them in.
Yeah.
And how do you guys market the parade today?
Yeah, I think, as just as a builder yourself, you kind of have to be doing all of the things, really reaching people where they're at. Now everyone gets their information from different sources and they're on, whether they're on the web or TV, radio, there's so many different places you need to be. So I feel like we do a good job trying to connect that way. I think a shift we've seen is just really trying to get out in the community, more engagement, more connecting with the audience. If there's people that aren't familiar with the Parade of Homes, helping them understand like how it works. If you're new to it, you might think, oh, do I need a ticket? Is it really free? Do I have to like sign my name and give my email, to get in the door? And I think the beauty of the parade is that it's like the ultimate low key event. You don't need a ticket. You don't need anything. You just show up.
Noon to 6. You're good.
You take your shoes off and enjoy the homes.
Start asking questions and see some of the fun things that are going on. The books, right?
Yes.
Everyone wants the book. You go get the book. something new though is the app,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So maybe talk about that a little bit. Now I got an
launched-
app and I don't have to do
Yeah.
some things.
And we had great feedback. We launched the app mid-tour. So we created a brand new app. We had an app years ago and it just was not functioning.
It's clunky.
It was clunky. The mapping wasn't working, which is like the ultimate thing you need your app to do for the parade.
What is the app called?
It's the Parade of Homes app, or Parade of Homes MN. So just search Parade of Homes MN.
Go to the App Store and find it.
Yep. You may, you can't remove the old app. So if you have the old app, delete that one and download the new one.
Upgrade over it.
Upgrade. Yep. It'll tell you to do that anyways, but it just great function. You can save, you can just, even if you're not out touring, you can just look through. I feel like the Parade is such a good resource to see all of your options. Who's out there? What are the builders in this side of the metro?
Is there a mapping function? Isn't there a mapping function in there where if I say, hey, I want to go visit home number 550, 100, and 150 today, then kind of there's a mapping function on there to make it efficient?
Absolutely. And so you just save your favorite homes pretty much. And it would give you a guide of here's the fastest way you can do that, or here's the best route. And
great.
So just really easy of like, I like all of these homes. There's a gallery if you just want to look through photos of homes and, get an idea.
Yeah.
Just super great function. I think it's going to be such an asset to the tour going forward.
What do you think's changed in really from a consumer standpoint? The parade's been around for a long time, right? Like long time.
75 years. Yeah.
That's long, right? Last year was 75, right?
Yep.
What's changed about the parade? Why is it attractive to me as a consumer today?
Yeah, I think, when we're talking about all of the ways, to find things and connect, you can get so much information online. You can get down to the details of every kind of thing you're looking at a home. But when it comes to a home, you don't really get a sense of what it's like until you walk through it.
Touch and feel.
And just we're all kind of snoopy about homes. There's that, joke of people are always on Zillow, even when they're not shopping a home, because they just want to look at their neighbor's home or that house that's for sale. So I think it's always just been a great connection point to go through and imagine, your life in these different homes. Or if you're shopping, I think as Minnesotans, we always find this when we talk nationally. We're like, wow, how is your parade so big and so popular and so successful? Because it is the biggest, largest in the country and the most successful.
In the entire United States.
In the entire United States.
Right here in the Twin Cities market. So consumers are a little spoiled.
Yes. Yeah. Right? I think it also comes down to, as Minnesotans, we don't like to... we like to just look and see. We don't want to have to sign our names. It's passive. Passive. And I think that's part of its success is due to just the way we like to shop and look at things. But I think too, just having that just in our past and our memory. I, as a kid, went out on the Parade of Homes all the time.
Sure.
And just the family memories and it's out there and it's a good way to shop.
Yeah. Parents drug you through some models when you're young.
My dad was down in the utility room for, a while.
Yeah, why are we doing this?
Why are we down here? Yeah.
Fun. State of the housing economy. So Katie, you have access to a board of directors that is made up by a mix of suppliers, vendors, home builders. Typically that leadership, right? You have a high level leadership from the trade partner. You have a high level, the president of the association is a builder. So I was lucky enough to be able to serve that chair back in 2021. And I greatly enjoyed it, right? I was on the executive committee for 10 years. So I saw Katie walk into housing first. And again, great impact by yourself, great hire, and they're lucky to have you. So I want you to know that. Roof to Curb is sponsored by Will Anderson Insurance. I want you to try a quick exercise for me. Think of your insurance person. Okay. Can you picture them? It's probably some person from high school or the old neighborhood that you no longer keep in touch with. Insurance is too important for the status quo. Isn't it time you switch to one of the best? Will Anderson can help you with all of your home, auto, and commercial insurance needs. He'll give you a fair solution. He'll be there to pick up the phone when you need him most, and he'll explain a complicated business like he's reading a children's book. Reach out to Will Anderson, and we bet you he'll save money too. Call or text Will for a quote at 612-361-7283 or visit willandersonagency.com. But with that, as you're close to the sun and you get this information, and I know offline we just talked about a board meeting, switching gears to state of the housing economy. What are you hearing? What's going on? What are the positives? What are the cons? What are maybe some of the challenges that obviously the builder's facing, but then the consumer as well? And what are some of the real positive things that are going on?
Yeah. So I think it's interesting in the board because you really have everyone across kind of all spectrums of the housing market. And there's definitely, I feel like, kind of a tale of two markets right now. Because for those that are trying to get in at that lower price point, or even the move-up buyers at those lower price points, interest rates are greatly impacting that side of the market. And I think what's interesting is last year when we had rates get up to this high, the market really quieted down and got
initial shock.
Yep. There was some shock.
It was quick, quick run up the ladder of the interest rate.
Yep. But buyers put a pause. They were like, hold on. And I think right now what we're hearing, what I just heard kind of from our board, is that side of the market, things are still moving. But buyers are a little kind of hesitant again for a little bit. I heard just a little slow.
Maybe a lack of consumer confidence going on.
Yeah. Also looking at buy downs again and, just the rates impacting that section. But I still think it's moving. It's less of a shock as last time rates got this high. And I think that's just builders adapting. We know, we've just dealt with it this past year of just the rates and moving and ups and downs of that. So I think we're adapting for that section of the market, and it's still cruising. I think at the other end of the market, strong market, little slower, but still a very strong market. Not hearing any, slowdown of that type at all. So more confidence on that side.
Yeah. So maybe the higher end of the luxury market, depending on where that dollar starts at, is that at $1 million? Is it 1.5? Is it 2 million?
Yep.
That market seems to be doing just fine.
Yep.
It's not, I wouldn't say it's like crazy, maybe where it was a couple years ago, but it's still moving along very nicely.
Yeah.
Lower price points doing well. And then you get into this $600 to $1 million price range. And that's kind of the gray zone. Typically it's a heavy mortgage purchase, if you will. It's not necessarily a cash buyer. Majority of the time it's mostly mortgage. And that's kind of where you're seeing maybe some incentives coming on the board.
Yeah.
And, the builder community is fairly savvy, right?
Yes.
They've operated in many different environments of economies.
Right.
So there's always interesting on how people solve and what the competition does and how the market does it. So what do you think forecast for the rest of 2024 is going to be as far as just maybe I'm not asking you for an interest rate, but what do you guys foresee for the next, 7-8 months of the year?
I sit on a lot of just like data recaps kind of across the nation from different economists and pieces like that. And I think at the early portion of this year, we really saw a lot of experts thinking rates were going to be dropping a little sooner. I think the last jobs number report was good. There's been
it continues to be good.
Yeah. I think there's been some economic things that have been stronger than people thought they would be at this point. And I think that leads to rates. I don't think they're going to, go up. That's not what I'm hearing, at least. I don't know if you are connected as well, but not drop as soon as they had thought they would drop this year.
Yeah, I've heard anywhere from 3 drops to 6 drops, right? Well, 6 has come and gone already. Right. So now we're down to 5, and now we're down to 4. And are we at 3?
Yeah.
And then, of course, what will those rates be? Right. Will they drop a quarter, 50, a point? What is it? But to your point, the data that I'm seeing and hearing is obviously still strong. So, and I think it also speaks to haves and have-nots in the economy that's going on. So is that the correct data still? They've been using the data for a long time. My blunt opinion is that I think the data they're still using today is not the data they need to use looking forward. Right. And it's always a reactive type approach. So, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We were lucky enough to have Mr. James Vogley, the CEO of Housing First Minnesota, on our podcast as the #1 podcast with Mr. Peter Martin with Pella Windows. And James communicated that the average starting house price of new construction average was $540. That number, I believe, is still going up.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I was just pulling those stats. And it's over 500. It's going up slower, which is good. I think
so. Acceleration has slowed down.
Yeah. I think at one point we're at like 10% increases.
The COVID years weren't great for pricing.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's slowed. That's good. But it's still high. And I don't think we need that to come down in order, especially if rates aren't going to come down it's definitely a problem for those move-up buyers. And overall, we're short housing in this market, especially single-family homes. 80% of buyers want single-family homes, and we don't have enough of them in the Twin Cities.
And I believe the last number I saw right around the turn of the year was the Twin Cities market is underbuilt over 106,000 homes.
Yes.
Do you have any new data today,
That's the number I have as well.
So maybe we're holding tight for a couple months here. Right?
Yeah. And that's, all housing units, I believe, but it's still, I think when you talk about if most people want single family homes and we're not able to build those at price points that frankly a good portion of the market can afford, it's a big problem.
Yeah. And, you said all housing units. So that includes single family, multifamily, it's duplexes, it's townhomes, it's, apartments at some level, I guess, condos. But yeah, it's interesting to watch. That's for sure. Any other data from an economic or a housing position of what a consumer should know? Yeah.
I just think we're, heading into the, you talk about forecast. I think there's just a lot of data just pointing to, because we're short homes, that we, we'll still see a pretty strong market going into the year, and that, there's nobody's forecasting prices to come down. I feel like those nervous home buyers, you hear of, if I'm going to buy this house and then the prices are going to, there's no forecast for any of those kind of conditions because we are short housing.
Yeah. A lot of conversations I've had with James and Elliot Eisenberg are really about the Midwest, the Twin Cities market protecting. I think a lot of people say, oh, the interest rate's up, the housing market's going to crash. Like there's going to be some reset. I'll sit on the sideline. I'll wait. And as I'm waiting, pricing's going up.
Yep.
Right. So I always use that fun joke of like, how long did you wait to get pregnant?
Right. Yeah.
And it's kind of like, how much did you save for, in your account before you bought a house? Well, obviously you need money to enter.
Yep.
And those numbers are all over the place based on what you're buying, 3, 5, 10, 20%.
Yeah.
To put into the deal to get it going. But it's interesting to watch, all the things that are impacting the economy, but yet if we're short inventory, when interest rates go down, housing prices don't go down with it, right? And so you see this effect of mortgage rates drop, housing prices actually go up. In fact, I heard a stat the other day that they're concerned that if mortgage rates go down, housing prices will go up 20%.
Yeah.
I don't have any facts.
No, I saw a similar thing. And I think that was in one of the forecasts I sat in on is, for those that are maybe thinking they're going to wait, they want interest rates to get lower. The fact that we're short housing means that when interest rates drop, we're going to see that rush back into the market again of all those people that were maybe sitting on the sideline. And once again, you're going to be competing. Builders are going to be kind of maxed out where you have, you can only fit so much in your pipeline. So you're going to return back to a little bit of a frenzy.
Potential supply chain issue.
Exactly. And so I think for those that are maybe thinking of waiting and, I think you might want to think of those things too. I think especially when you consider that we're just short on housing.
Yeah, I know. I'll speak to two products quickly. Windows during COVID, early parts of COVID, were going out. Some brands and some product of the brands up to 52 weeks extended, like pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Now that number I'm hearing 4 weeks and 6 weeks and 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Some appliance manufacturers with refrigeration was out 18 months.
That's crazy.
And now I'm hearing less than 6 months.
Okay.
So supply chain is caught up, getting in check, which is great for a consumer. But the fear is, to your point, like if this bubble creates again. And I strongly believe that, and I'm not trying to use this as because, we own a construction company, but I truly believe in the near future, this first 6 months of this year is your best time to get in.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And whether it's your first home, second home, third home, I think it's a good time to transact.
Yeah.
And I do have concerns or doubts moving forward as far as pricing, affordability, and those kind of things to the earlier conversation. But,
no, absolutely. I think when you think of this type of market and just where it is for buyers, just compared to when there's more buyers in the market, it's a much different experience. Yeah. You just have a little bit more, leverage. You don't want to. So I think, and just more options. I think just a lot more options out there for buyers right now. And there's always the option to refinance and those pieces. So.
I do believe the consumer is in a good spot in the Twin Cities because there's a lot of really good professional companies, whether it be through renovation, exteriors, landscaping, or building homes. So you do have a lot of options. You do have a lot of solutions compared to some other markets across the country that are somewhat limited.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So you're getting a quality build, you're getting an extremely efficient build, and you're getting a myriad of finishes that, whatever your desire is, right?
Another interesting kind of stat right now is that new construction is taking up a much bigger share of the market than it has previously, kind of the existing versus new. And I think that's some of it. It's when you're looking at low inventory across the market and you can get an existing house or you can get a new build that has more of the things that you want. You're kind of just being a little more selective on, no, I'm going to get exactly what I want versus this house that's just there.
Yeah. And back to this first 6 months of the year in inventory, we are seeing some influx in the spring buying season, right? We always see some influx of homes coming on the market and school seasons and people changing schools or moving, those kind of things. Typically it happens in the, second quarter activity. So we are seeing some of that. So the good news is we are seeing a little bit more inventory on the market.
Absolutely.
And builders are trying to build however they can to get up with need or at least produce products so people can have move-in ready inventory.
Yes. Yep.
I know we have some product on the market right now that's move-in ready. You can go to custom1mn.com and look at it. We have a myriad of price points, as do other builders and other people in the market. So it's good for that.
Yep.
So Spring Parade was great. People attended. It's a great spot to capture. Get the app. The app's really good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're in June and we got another event coming up.
Yes, the Artisan Home Tour.
Yes.
So we're gearing up for that right now. We just sent the guidebook off to the printer. So we're kind of in the full swing of prepping for that tour.
Just keeps coming.
Yes. Yeah. But I feel like it's such a fun event of like I feel like the Artisan homes really are more like art pieces. Walk around and you just see different exciting things. Yeah, exciting things in every corner. So,
how many homes on the Artisan tour this year? Any idea?
Yes, we have 19 new homes and 4 remodeled homes. So, 23 total to check out.
19 homes spreading across the Twin Cities. Woodbury to Wayzata, north and south.
Yep.
Typically, you'll see a clump of homes in the
West Metro.
Southwest, West quadrant, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of nice because they get bundled a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like we have kind of nice in this summer's tour, kind of nice clusters in each kind of corner. So we have kind of our East Metro, and then we do have a few down in the South Metro. I think one of them's on Prior Lake, that area. Okay. And then over in the West Metro, and Edina too, I think has a good cluster of this tour.
And how about the 4 remodeled homes that are on the tour?
They are, I think, I have to look back at those, but also kind of varied across the market, but I think still more on the West Metro side.
Okay, great. So 23 homes, that's a paid event.
Yes, that's ticketed.
Ticketed. And what is that price and how do I get a ticket?
Yeah, tickets are $35 at the door, or you can go online and save a little bit of money there, or save money and buy your tickets in person at Bachman's.
Okay, so Bachman's, or I can buy them online?
Yep, or in the app. So,
and the Artisan app.
Yes.
Which is a different app than the Parade of Homes app. So,
yes.
So just go back to the app store and look for Artisan and Parade. You should have those if you're, even if you're not buying, if you're just interested in seeing what's going on in your market and get a good education and understanding of maybe the technologies that are going on in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So
inspiration.
Kind of going down that path. Anything that you're seeing, Katie, you're touching a lot of builders, you're touching a lot of homes, you're touching a lot of trades and suppliers, technologies. And I don't mean from like low voltage technologies, but technologies of advancements that you're seeing in homes. Is there anything that jumps out to you of like, what are the top 2, top 3 things that you're hearing or you're seeing different from an product offering today?
Yeah, I feel like
what should the consumer know?
Yeah, there's so much. I think that's a piece of it. I think one thing that continues to just impress me, I was out at the International Builders Show this year, which is kind of where people bring a lot of those new technologies and materials.
So the Builder Show, national show, global show.
Yes.
All the vendors and manufacturers in the housing space are there attending.
Yeah.
And then there's roughly 80 180 to 110,000 people that attend to get educated on products and offerings. And you got to go.
Yeah, I got to go this year. And it just always impresses. There's always something you walk away from there. And I've gone kind of every past 6 years or so. And I just think the connectivity of the home is what's really just the way the home's kind of speaking, from a tech standpoint, speak into each other, from your bathroom that will set the water for you. And, you just go in and it's
8
all
ounces, 94 degrees.
Exactly.
Yeah, Alexa, please help me.
Yes, exactly. Just that connectivity to me is what always leaves me whoa, our homes are getting very future. But I know there's so many other things that I feel like the consumer might not be aware of that go into more of the building science of the efficiency of the home.
Yeah. So there's a couple sides, right? Mm-hmm. There's the bells and widgets and gadgets.
Yes.
And then there's truly the improvement of building science and what is happening in the envelope of the home and what products are being manufactured and used in a building process to help improve that so that the consumer has lower cost of heating and cooling.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So. Yeah. I think just the efficiency and, as more of those products come online, it'll bring down the cost of, right now to build a super, super energy efficient home is pretty costly. So just those are exciting advancements on how they can do that. And I'm in no way an expert on any of that stuff, but just impressed with always the different, science and things that they're coming up with to solve issues.
I think the breathability and the expansion contraction, especially in this market, not to get too nerdy on the building science, but we have a tough market. We go from extreme colds to extreme heats. There's not a lot of markets that get both.
Yeah.
So therefore we have to use some different products and applications that other markets don't.
Yeah.
The good news is they keep advancing of what those products are.
Yeah.
So Roof to Curb podcast sponsored by Duke Cannon. Don't trust your mutton chops and mustaches to just any brand. Duke Cannon Supply Company makes hardworking grooming products for hardworking guys, and their products will help you keep your facial hair in championship form. From their beard wash and balms to beard oil, they have your back and your face covered. Duke Cannon. Work harder. Smell better. Stock up on DukeCannon.com and use BEARD10 for 10% off your next order. Duke Cannon is an official partner of the Minnesota Wild. How about Housing First Minnesota, the foundation? So the foundation is, it's newer if you look at the relative time of Housing First Minnesota, but the foundation started at least over 10 years ago.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right? Maybe 15, 20?
It's over 20 years. Yes.
20 years.
Yes.
And what is Housing First Minnesota Foundation? That's a charity component, but what does it do, Katie?
Yeah. So we really, the foundation really leverages our membership, which is kind of all aspects of the housing industry, to be able to build and remodel housing or in the Twin Cities, all to help those in need. So recently, it's been transitional housing for homeless veterans and housing for women, remodeling housing for women in recovery. Those are some of our more recent projects, but really all towards ending homelessness in Minnesota. So really leveraging We Build Homes, we can help in the mission to end homelessness in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, that's a big undertaking.
Yes.
It's also, my understanding, the foundation is heavily supported by not only its members, but people outside of it as well.
Absolutely.
Right. And maybe to speak to maybe what that looks like, and then the connectivity of how does the foundation navigate that? How do they work through other people or foundations to help the homelessness?
Yeah. So the foundation just went through having the gala this week. So we're kind of in the middle of it, but its largest fundraising effort in the history of the foundation. So super exciting with that. And, that's really from, the entire industry raising funds. And
a lot of giving back.
A lot of giving. Our industry is so generous. It's always incredible to watch just the absolute generosity of those in the housing industry. But with that fundraising, we work with partner organizations. So most recently, that's been the Minnesota Assistance Council for Veterans and Avivo. Okay. Those are two of our service providers that we work with. And so what we're able to do is go in. Recently, we built homes with MacV and our build partner, Lennar. It's been a special partnership to watch them. We're now going on to our 15th, I believe we're breaking ground tomorrow towards our 15th home for veterans in the Twin Cities, and
great.
it's transitional housing. So really making an impact. And I think what's really cool about these transitional projects is they don't just help one family. It's just not one home for one family. It's a home that will, over the course of time, help hundreds of families as they need it. When they're in that moment of need, they need housing. Yep. It helps McAfee, who's a fabulous service provider who really then helps the veterans while they're in that home get back on their feet, whether that's, helping them with jobs and pieces like that.
That's a great point. So, we work with an organization called My Very Own Bed. And people that follow Custom One are aware that we have a charity, Custom One Charities. And what we do, even we have our golf tournament coming up July 18th at Prestwick in Woodbury, Minnesota. But one of the things we're doing this year is that we're doing tea sponsors, and every tea sponsor is $300. Right? And anybody can do it. The good news is that $300 is going back to My Very Own Bed. And I'll land the plane here. But My Very Own Bed creates a metal frame bed for a child. It creates a mattress, all the bedding, a stuffed animal, and a book. So there's a bed component, but there's also a literacy component of like trying to encourage kids to put their phone down, read a book, and these are all young age. Well, the crazy part about this is the bed is going to a child that's never had one.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So it ties back into mental and psychologically of, hey, now you have ownership. Now you have this comfort. Now you have more confidence. Now you feel better at school and you partake in a different way. So back to MacV and back to Housing First Minnesota. Now you had mentioned a couple of things just recently here of, it's not just about housing, right?
Yep.
It's about all these other things that you mentioned and keep going down that path, Katie, of like, what does that really mean? Right. Because I think that's the why and that's the substance of, it's not to build four walls and a roof and say, here's this kitchen, right? No, it's what it does past that.
I have been super privileged just as working as our communications person that I have interviewed many of these recipients that have either lived in one of our Housing for Heroes homes or have been on the Vivo side. That's a program that helps women and their children have housing while they go through recovery. And in both cases, the things that we kind of take for granted every day, like, oh, I got a home, I go home to it. It always just, shocks me of just like being so thankful. And they would kind of accept any home, but we're providing them with, beautiful brand new spaces. And just the pride that comes with that.
The feeling of home. The
feeling of home and of having this incredible space to do the incredible work that they have to do, which is, get back on their feet. Just that challenge alone. And we're helping provide that space that will help them do that.
That lift.
Yes.
That lift. That's great. It's interesting. We work with Bridging.
Yeah.
Right. You're aware of that organization, not too far from Housing First Minnesota, located in Roseville and Bloomington. And they're helping people furnish, right? So maybe MacV provides a home and then they're like, I don't have any furniture. Well, Bridging can help you do that as long as you qualify and go through their process. But, we've heard numerous stories of, a gentleman that was sleeping in a lawn chair for 12 years because he didn't have a furniture bed. And finally he goes in and works with Bridging, didn't even know about it. Yeah. And they help supply some furniture, right? Like the simple things of, you go through stresses in life and it's nice to have your place. Yeah. Right.
Such a big impact. And I feel like that's, when you connect the foundation to everything that we do, it's really about home and having, a home for everyone. And I have this cartoon picture in my head right now of, Housing First Minnesota is this Marvel, Superman, Batman type person, but the shield is really protecting the consumer, right? And it's protecting the industry, but it back to it's truly protecting the consumer on so many different fronts. Yeah. Tying it back to homes, tying it back to affordability, tying it back to trying to help. Yeah. Right. Yep. The local citizens. So that's great. Is there any changes coming up on the fall Parade of Homes? That's, as we said earlier, September. Yeah. I feel like we're really excited for fall. Last fall with our 75th anniversary, we started doing kind of community pop-ups on the tour. And we brought puppies out. We had coffee.
Yeah.
We just had a little bit of fun on the tour in honor of our anniversary. But I think because it was so successful, we had so much fun.
Puppies everywhere.
Puppies everywhere. I think by the final pop-up event, we just had a crowd of people the whole time, and with giveaways and things like that. So
they're sitting in driveways waiting for pop-ups to happen.
They were all, where's the puppies? And so we're really excited to continue to do that. It became like, we need to be doing this.
More interactive.
Have some fun with it. It's a community event. The Parade of Homes is a celebration of homeownership. And so really having some fun out on the tour. So we're excited to bring that back and kind of boost it up a little bit more.
So look for your home in the fall, and maybe you'll adopt a puppy along the way.
Puppies need homes too. So, why not bring them out and help them find a home on the tour?
And have a cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee. So we're really excited to ramp that up and just have some more fun out in the community.
Do you have the exact dates of the fall parade by chance?
I don't have them on me, but it is always the Saturday or the Friday after Labor Day.
Yes. And then I'll go for 4 weekends after that. Last weekend will be the Remodeler Showcase. Which is fantastic as well. So there's plenty of homes on that tour.
Yes.
We were lucky enough to just have a home on the Remodeler Showcase at the end of March.
Yeah.
Well attended, great, whole home renovation, main level kitchen, put an addition on the home. It was up in Circle Pines.
Oh, great.
So it was fun.
Yeah.
So fall parade, Remodeler Showcase at the end of that. Mm-hmm. And then after September, you go right in back to back with
another, our fall Artisan home tour. So our second official fall Artisan home tour.
Yeah.
So we're very excited for that.
So the summer has been so successful over the last 10 years, roughly.
Yep.
And then there was a demand from builder industry and consumer that said, hey, we'd like to see more.
Yep.
So here we go. We've got a fall Artisan tour now, second year. So if you can't come out in June, you'll see more homes in October. And if that doesn't work, come in September. So you've got 60 days of opportunity to see housing stock and what's going on around you in the community and
get inspired
and see what things cost and how other people are designing homes and some fun things that you can, if you ever go through that build process, you can see.
Yep.
Or if you're remodeling your home.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can,
I think if
hunt back for some stuff.
Even if you have the simplest of projects, the tour is such a great way to just get inspired and see like, oh, that's how they reconfigured this, or that's, a great layout for a mudroom.
Right?
Look at these lockers or, just all the little details.
Or we could do that to our home.
Yes, exactly.
Right? It's kind of fun. Anything else that you'd like to share, Katie?
I don't think so.
From your perspective. No. I know that the housing market, we talked about, interest rates go up, inventory is trying to keep up. We're short.
Yep.
We can provide all the products to homes, but if we don't have people to install them or know what they're doing, we don't have work bodies, right? So Housing First Minnesota spent a lot of time workforce wise trying to solve it over the last 10, 20 years and ongoing. So a new website.
Yep. We have a new partnership with the Building Talent Foundation that we're super excited about. And this is really about taking action. So not just spreading, there's several parts of kind of our workforce piece. And we need to spread the awareness to future generations or just those that are out there looking for jobs, that there are great paying, good jobs in the housing industry. So spreading that message. But then there's also connecting people with the jobs. So say, that's kind of our role we know that we have a lot of members that have open job positions that they need filled. So we're working with the Building Talent Foundation where they find the applicants and connect those job seekers with the jobs. So I'm really excited about that. We've had a couple success stories already where they've been able to put people into jobs. And so we have a job fair coming up with them. We're also just
where will
a website, jobstobuild.com. Job fair will be at Housing First Minnesota.
In Roseville.
Okay. In May. And I don't know blanking on the date.
Okay. So coming up, but they could go to jobstobuild.com.
Yes.
JOBSTOBUILD.com to find out more information. So real quick on that, we had a change in the education system for a long time of trying to tell kids or telling kids that you got to go get your degree. You got to go get your degree. And now we're starting to see that. I'm seeing corporations that are, it's not degree required, right? To even get an interview. Now it's cores and competencies and character and some things like that. And we'll train you. But if you're really looking to get in this industry, anywhere in the housing industry, and this can go from being an architect, a designer, a builder, a remodeler, a plumber, electrician, HVAC person, a carpenter, a millwork, drywall, paint, we can go on and on, right?
So many.
Here's a spot to do it now.
Yeah.
And we talked offline, Katie, about some high school programs that are now coming back into the platform, and you guys have connected with them to help them. So tell a little bit of story about
we had
the high schools.
A high school group come out on the Parade of Homes, which to me is such a great way to really see what you can do in this industry, because you get out and you get to see the beautiful homes and all of the people that made this happen, and that
you can be part of creating this.
Part of that, and get to see the fruits of your labor, basically, of people who live in that home that you created. So we had a group. It was a bus full of kids come out on 2 or 3, I believe it was 3 homes out on the parade, a high school classes. And I think what was amazing is we shared this out and immediately had other high school teachers reach out of like, I want to take my students out on the parade in the fall and make that connection with my students.
Great.
So
and get to interact with the people that created it or part of it, right?
Yeah, I know we had our builders were there to talk to the students and share with them, all of the different pieces and the trades that came together to make, these homes.
And if you perform well in that curriculum or that program, maybe there's an intern opportunity.
Absolutely.
Like I said, whether you want to work at a lumber yard, whether you want to, do whatever, you can be on both sides of the business, and there's a lot of opportunities there. So jobstobuild.com. Housing First Minnesota is there for the consumer. It's an advocacy program for the industry in general. A lot of marketing events with parades, all of March, all September, all of June, all of October, right? So come out and see it. Be inspired, be connected, ask questions, get informed, educated. Katie's brand marketing communications VP of Housing First Minnesota. Katie, thank you for joining us on Roof to Curb.
Thank you so much for having me.